The razor buzzed like a chainsaw through his soul, stripping away not just hair but dignity in jagged, merciless strokes. Smile for the camera. Faggot, it's your new look, the cop snarled, his gloved hand yanking Hunter's head back by the collar. The crowd's jeers a roaring tide crashing over him. In that frozen heartbeat, as the last tuft of chestnut curls fluttered to the rain-slicked Brooklyn pavement like fallen soldiers, Hunter locked eyes with his tormentor and saw the flicker of something human, something that would haunt them both forever. Rain hammered the awning of the corner bodega like God's own fists, turning the narrow street into a river of regret. Hunter Hayes, 28 and already weary from too many courtrooms and too few honest nights, had come to this dingy stretch of bed-stewy not for revolution, but for a goddamn falafel wrap after a 12-hour shift presiding over petty thefts and parking tickets. He'd been out since 18, a badge of pride pinned to his rainbow lanyard under the black robe that made him untouchable in session. But here, stripped of that armor, he was just another queer kid with a protest sign, justice for all? Not just the straight, clutched in trembling fists as the rally against police brutality spilled into chaos. It started with a shove. Some hothead from the crowd lobbed a bottle at a patrol car, shattering the taillight in a spray of glass and fury. Sirens wailed like banshees, and suddenly blue uniforms swarmed like sharks scenting blood. Hunter hadn't thrown anything. He'd been chanting peaceful resistance, louder than anyone, his voice cracking with the weight of every client he defended from cells like the ones closing in now. But facts didn't matter when the first baton cracked against his ribs, folding him like wet cardboard. Hands up. Freak. The voice belonged to Officer Declan "Deck" Riley, 32. Built like a brick shithouse with a jaw that could cut glass and eyes the color of storm clouds over the Hudson. Deck was NYPD through and through, third generation, badge polished to a mirror shine, veins pumping with the kind of toxic patriotism that made him volunteer for riot detail. He'd grown up in Queens, dodging his old man's belt and dreaming of the day he'd pin that star to his chest. Gays? They were punchlines in locker rooms, distractions in a man's world. Or so he'd told himself, until the Academy's mandatory diversity training forced him to choke down lectures on inclusivity like bad coffee. Deck's gloved fist connected with Hunter's jaw first, splitting the skin with a wet pop. Blood bloomed hot and coppery on Hunter's tongue as zip ties bit into his wrists. "You people think you own the streets?" Deck growled, shoving him face first into the patrol car's hood. The rally devolved into a ballet of screams and swinging nightsticks. Hunter heard a woman wail as her hijab was torn, saw a trans kid dragged by the hair. But for him, the world narrowed to Deck's breath hot on his neck, the cop's knee grinding into his spine like a promise of more pain to come. They hauled him to the precinct van, a metal beast idling like a predator in the downpour. Inside, it reeked of sweat and stale vomit, the benches scarred with the ghosts of 1,000 indignities. Hunter slumped against the partition, head throbbing, tasting his own defeat. "This is bullshit," he muttered to the kid next to him, a scrawny college type with a rainbow mohawk now matted flat. "They can't just..." "Shut it," Deck barked from the front, slamming the partition shut. But as the van lurched forward, tires sluicing through puddles, Deck caught a glimpse in the rearview, Hunter's profile. Sharp and unbowed, lips moving in what looked like a silent prayer. Something twisted in Deck's gut, not guilt, not yet, but a spark. Annoyance? Curiosity? He shook it off, radioing in the arrests with mechanical precision. At the station, processing was a circus of fluorescent hell. Fingerprints smeared black across Hunter's tips. Mugshot flash searing his retinas. Then came the delousing NYPD code for humiliation. They marched the arrestees to a tiled room that smelled like bleach and broken dreams, where a barber's chair waited like an electric throne. Stripped to the waist, a sergeant barked. Hunter complied, shirt pooling at his feet, exposing the tattoo across his ribs, a gavel wrapped in thorns, inked after his first big win defending a wrongfully deported immigrant. Deck drew the short straw for barber duty that night, punishment for mouthing off to the captain earlier, or maybe just fate's cruel joke. He strapped Hunter into the chair, the leather creaking under the weight of unspoken accusations. Hold still, or I'll make it worse, Deck warned, flicking on the clippers. The buzz started low, a vibration that traveled up Hunter's spine like electricity. Clumps of hair rained down, tickling his bare shoulders, each pass a theft of identity. Hunter stared straight ahead, jaw clenched, refusing to beg. But inside, rage boiled. How many times had he sentenced men like this for assault, only to become the victim? You're enjoying this, aren't you? Hunter's voice was low, laced with venom, the first words he'd spoken since the van. Dick paused, blade hovering, their eyes meeting in the mirror's cruel reflection. Up close, Hunter saw the fine lines etching Deck's forehead, the faint scar above his lip from some bar brawl long past. Deck saw the fire in Hunter's gaze, unquenched, and for a split second, the clippers trembled. People like you make my job hell, Deck replied, resuming the shave with deliberate slowness. But truth? His old man had died ranting about the gays ruining America, and Deck had nodded along, burying his own confusions under layers of bravado. But this man, this judge in street clothes, though Deck didn't know it yet, stirred something forbidden. The shave finished in silence, Hunter's scalp prickly and exposed, a map of vulnerability. Deck unstrapped him roughly, shoving him toward the holding cells. Next, hours blurred into a haze of cold bars and colder stares. Hunter paced his 6x8, replaying the rally's chants like a mantra. By dawn, charges were dropped, witnesses recanted, lawyers swarmed, but the damage lingered, a phantom itch on his skull. Released with a curt, "Don't come back," he stepped into the gray morning, hailing a cab to his Astoria walk-up. The mirror in the bathroom didn't lie. He looked like a recruit fresh from boot camp, or a convict marking time. But beneath the shave, his resolve hardened. Tomorrow, back to the bench, he'd hammer justice down on men like that cop. Off shift and nursing a black coffee at a diner on Flatbush. Couldn't shake the image. The way Hunter's throat bobbed when he swallowed rage. The subtle flecks of muscle under inked skin. Get a grip, Riley, he muttered, crumpling a napkin. He'd clocked hundreds of perps, but none lingered like this. Shoving it down, he headed home to his empty studio, where the TV droned Fox News rants about law and order. Sleep came fitful, haunted by buzz and brown eyes. 2 weeks later, the wheel turned. Hunter adjusted his robe in the Manhattan criminal court, the weight familiar as an old lover. Docket was light, DUIs, shoplifters, and one standout, People v. Riley, Declan J. charged with excessive force in the Bed-Stuy rally. Hunter's heart stuttered as the bailiff read the name. It couldn't be. Dex shuffled in, cuffs glinting under the vaulted ceilings. Posture straight as a salute despite the orange jumpsuit's indignity. His eyes scanned the bench, landing on the judge and freezing. The shaved head had grown a shadow of stubble. But those eyes. The split lip healed to a faint scar. Your Honor. Dex's voice cracked, a whisper lost in the gallery's murmur. Hunter gripped the gavel, knuckles white. Officer Riley, he said, voice steady as granite, though his pulse thundered. Approach the bench. The courtroom held its breath, air thick with the scent of polished wood and unspoken reckonings. Dex obeyed, steps measured, face paling as fragments clicked. The arrest? The shave? The man he'd dismissed as just another agitator. But here he stood, judged by the very soul he'd tried to break. State your plea, Hunter intoned, but his gaze bored into Dex. A silent accusation laced with something dangerously like mercy. Dex swallowed, the words sticking like thorns. Not guilty. Your Honor. Lie. Partial truth? In that moment, with Hunter's stare peeling back his defenses layer by layer, Dex felt exposed, rawer than any clippers could manage. The trial unfolded like a slow-burn fuse over the next days. Each testimony a spark-threatening explosion. Prosecutors paraded witnesses, the trans activist with bruises blooming like ink blots, the falafel vendor who'd filmed Dex's baton swing on shaky cell footage. Excessive. Your Honor, clear violation of protocol, the ADA pressed. Her voice a scalpel. Hunter nodded, scribbling notes, but his eyes kept drifting to the defense table, where Dex sat ramrod straight, refusing to meet his gaze. Dex's lawyer? A slick queen's alum with a comb-over, spun gold from straw. My client was maintaining order in a volatile situation. Self-defense. Your Honor, rioters armed with bottles and Molotovs. Bullshit. Hunter knew. He'd reviewed the tapes a dozen times in his chambers, pausing on Dex's face contorted in fury, then softening, just for a beat, on Hunter's own crumpled form. Adjourns became Hunter's torment. Late nights in his book-strewn apartment, poring over precedents by the glow of a single lamp, Hunter wrestled ghosts. Why this cop? With his broad shoulders and haunted squint, the kind of guy who'd star in Hunter's half-forgotten fantasies before reality shaved them clean? Attraction was treason here, a betrayal of the robe. Yet, when Dex finally cornered him in the courthouse hallway after day 3, Your Honor. That night, I didn't know. Hunter's retort died on his lips. Dex's voice was raw, stripped of bravado, eyes pleading like a man adrift. Save it for the stand, sir, Hunter snapped, but his hand brushed Dex's sleeve in passing, a spark that lingered like ozone after lightning. The turning point came on a Thursday, rain lashing the windows like the night of the rally. Hunter called a recess, retreating to his chambers with a migraine pounding hammers at his temples. A knock, soft, insistent. Enter, he called, expecting his clerk. Dex slipped in, door clicking shut behind him. No lawyer, no entourage, just a man in ill-fitting civvies, courtesy of bail, clutching a manila folder like a shield. I had to see you. Alone. His voice was gravel, edged with desperation. Hunter rose, robe swirling like a cape, heart slamming against ribs. You have no business here, Mr. Riley. This is contempt. I shaved your head. Deck's words hung heavy. A confession laced with shame. He stepped closer. Folder tumbling forgotten to the floor. Inside, photos from the rally. Annotated with apologies scrawled in block letters. I called you. I hurt you. And now you're the one holding the blade. His eyes searched Hunter's. Stormy blues cracking open to reveal fractures. A childhood of man-up sermons. A string of failed hookups with women that left him hollow. The buried truth he'd numbed with whiskey and warrants. Hunter's breath hitched. Why tell me now? Afraid I'll bury you? Deck laughed. Bitter and broken. Maybe. Or maybe because that night, looking at you, it woke something. You're not just some perp. He faltered, hand reaching out, hovering inches from Hunter's stubbled cheek. The air crackled, charged with the forbidden. Don't, Hunter whispered, but he didn't pull away. Instead, he closed the gap, lips crashing into Deck's in a kiss born of fury and famine. It was messy, teeth clashing, hands fisting in fabric, Deck tasting of coffee and contrition, Hunter of salt and suppressed longing. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, the world outside fading to white noise. This changes nothing, Hunter lied, even as his fingers traced the scar on Deck's lip. You're still on trial, Deck nodded, thumb brushing Hunter's jaw. Then judge me fair. But know this, I'd do that night over 1,000 times if it led here. They parted with stolen glances and coded notes slipped into evidence bags. A clandestine dance amid the docket's drumbeat. Hunter ruled with impartial steel, but nights blurred into fevered meetings in shadowed bars off Court Street, Deck's rough hands mapping Hunter's body like contraband. Whispers of, I'm sorry, melting into moans. Too soon for labels? But it bloomed fierce. A rose in cracked concrete, watered by shared scars. Yet shadows loomed. Deck's partner on the force, a bull-necked sergeant named Kowalski with a mustache like a broom bristle, smelled the rot. You gone soft on that pansy judge. Riley? He'd sneer over beers, eyes narrowing at Deck's evasive grins. Hunter's colleagues whispered too, sleeping with the enemy? Career suicide? Haze. But the pull was magnetic, gravity-defying reason. Climax erupted on the trial's eve, thunder rumbling over the East River like an omen. Deck waited in Hunter's chambers, pacing like a caged wolf. When the door burst open, not Hunter, Bukowski, flanked by IA suits, badges flashing like accusations. Hands up. Traitor. We got tapes, you and the judge. Cozy as hell. Deck's world imploded. Betrayal's blade twisted deep, Kowalski, his mentor, his brother-in-arms, had tailed him, bugged his phone, all to protect the blue wall from fairy contamination. You sold me out? Deck roared, lunging, but cuffs snapped cold around wrists. Flashed on the desk, grainy photos of stolen kisses, transcribed pillow talk, evidence forged in locker room hate. Hunter arrived too late, bursting into chaos. Deck slumped against the wall, bloodied lip mirroring their first meeting, eyes dull with defeat. Deck, Hunter's voice broke. Robe askew. The gavel's weight crushing now. Hunter. They're coming for you too. Deck's plea was a guttural prayer. But Hunter stood firm, dialing his own 911, the Bar Association, the press, every ally in his Rolodex of righteousness. The scandal detonated like a grenade in the headlines, Cop's queer affair sinks badge, judge fights back. Kowalski's web unraveled under scrutiny, doctored logs, coarse testimonies. A department rotten to the core. Deck's trial verdict? Charges folded into the larger corruption probe. But freedom came laced with exile, Deck drummed out, pension shredded, name mud in precincts from here to the Hudson. In the aftermath, they fled to Hunter's Astoria Airy, rain pattering like hesitant applause. Hunter, robe retired for a threadbare tee, traced the fresh bruises on Deck's knuckles. We could have ended cleaner. Deck pulled him close. Breath warm against shaved scalp, now grown to a soft buzz. A phoenix's feathers. This is messy. American as apple pie and civil rights marches. His laugh rumbled low, chasing shadows. Besides, who's gonna hire a disgraced cop? Bartender? Dog walker? Hunter's smile cracked through tears, fingers lacing with Deck's. We'll fight it. Together. I've got appeals. You've got stories that'll burn the brass. He kissed Deck slow, deliberate, sealing vows unspoken. The city thrummed, sirens a distant echo. Not a threat. In this cramped haven, two men forged from fracture found grace, not perfection, but progress. After all, was the ultimate verdict human and unyieldingly just. Weeks bled into months, the scandal's shrapnel embedding deeper than either anticipated. Hunter's courtroom became a coliseum, every ruling dissected by tabloids hungry for the gay judge's grudge. Protests swelled outside, picket signs clashing like swords. Justice for Riley, from Blue Line diehards. Hold cops accountable, from queer activists Hunter once marched beside. He navigated the minefield with the precision of a bomb tech. But sleep evaded him, chased by nightmares of clippers and cuffs. Crashed on Hunter's couch at first, 6 feet of restless muscle folded into a love seat, snoring like a freight train to mask the silence of his solitude. Mornings, he'd brew coffee strong as regret, sliding mugs across the formica with a gruff, "Fuel up." "Your Honor," Hunter would chuckle. But the endearment stung, the robe hung in the closet like a specter, whispering of lost authority. Their first real fight erupted over breakfast, the kind that starts small and swells tidal. Thumbing job listings on Hunter's ancient laptop, security gigs at malls, bouncer spots in dive bars, slammed the screen shut. This is bullshit. Carding drunks for minimum wage? After 15 years bleeding blue. Hunter, mid-bite of bagel, set down his knife with deliberate calm. It's temporary. The IA probe's ongoing. They'll clear you. Clear me? Deck's laugh was barbed wire. They've got me painted as the department's token queer sellout. Kowalski's rotting in Rikers, singing like a canary to save his ass. But his buddies? They're circling, waiting to gut me. He paced the linoleum, a caged tiger, fists clenching shadows. I protected this city. Took bullets for strangers. And for what? To end up your kept man? The words landed like a slap, Hunter's cheeks flushing hot. Kept? Is that what you think this is? He rose, chair-scraping accusation. I didn't ask for your mess. I could have buried you that day. One gavel bang, and you'd be appealing from a cell. But I saw you. The real you. Under the badge and the bullshit. His voice cracked, eyes blazing. And now, You're throwing it back like it's pity. Deck halted, face crumpling. I'm scared. All right? Waking up every day knowing I shaved the man he choked. The L word a grenade pin pulled. The man who matters. And if I lose you too. Silence stretched. Taut as a tripwire. Hunter crossed the gap. Hands framing Deck's face, thumbs tracing the scar. The stubble mirroring his own. You won't. But you gotta fight. Not with fists, with truth. Write it. The rallies. The razors. The rot inside the ranks. Make them see. Deck's exhale was a dam breaking, pulling Hunter into an embrace that crushed air from lungs. You're too good for this circus. Haze. But in the quiet that followed, as they tangled on the couch, kisses fierce, hands mapping familiar territories, seeds took root. Deck bought a notebook that afternoon, cheap spiral from the corner store, and began scribbling, fragments of nights on beat, the hollow echo of protect and serve when it rang false. Hunter's battles raged parallel. A courtroom odyssey against the department's Hydra heads. Subpoenas flew like confetti at a funeral, depositions dragged through sunless afternoons, lawyers in pinstripes grilling him on inappropriate fraternization. Your Honor, to your personal entanglement bias the mistrial, one sneered, adjusting cufflinks that screamed old money. Entanglement. Hunter leaned forward, voice silk over steel. Officer Riley's case was misread on procedural grounds, tampered evidence from your client's playbook. As for bias, try justice. Counsel. It's the only entanglement I traffic in. The gallery murmured approval. A ripple of solidarity from the back rows where queer advocates sat vigilant. But victory's price was isolation. Colleagues who'd shared smokes in the judge's lounge now crossed streets. Invitations to bar association galas dried up like rain in the desert. Hunter came home hollowed, collapsing into Deck's arms with tales of triumphs laced with exhaustion. They called me activist in robes today. Like it's a slur. Ink-stained fingers gentle on Hunter's neck. Murmured. It's a crown. Wear it. That night. They made love slow, candlelight flickering over sweat-slick skin. Deck's mouth tracing the gavel tattoo like a devotee at altar. Whispers woe vows, we'll burn it down. Build it better. Post-climax haze. Deck confessed fragments from his notebook, stories of a queer kid in Queens, beaten for holding a boy's hand, of a partner lost to friendly fire, buried with honors that rang hollow. I buried that part of me. Until you. Hunter listened, heart aching with the weight of it, fingers combing Deck's hair, longer now, tousled waves that begged for tugs. No more bearing. We're out here. Visible. That's the revolution. Yet betrayal's echo lingered. A serpent in Eden. Kowalski's trial loomed. A spectacle set for federal court in Foley Square, perjury. Obstruction. The works. Hunter testified as character witness against the tide. His words a scalpel dissecting the sergeant's venom. Officer Kowalski didn't just violate protocol, he weaponized hate. His bigotry infected the chain of command, turning badges into nooses. Deck watched from the gallery, anonymous in a borrowed suit, pride swelling like a bruise, tender, vivid. But as Hunter stepped down, a juror's gaze lingered too long, pitying or predatory, and Deck's fist balled. They're eating you alive, he growled later, over takeout lo mein in the dim kitchen. I should be up there, shielding you. Hunter waved it off, chopsticks poised. This is my fight now. Yours is that book, Blue Shadows, right? Get it to an agent. Let the world read how the system's rigged. Deck hesitated. Fork midway. What if they don't believe me? Ex-cop turned whistleblower? Smells like a con. Then make M. With me. Hunter's eyes sparkled. Mischief cutting the gloom. We go public. Joint interview, CNN. Pod Save America. Whatever. Your story. My gavel. Undeniable. The idea ignited. A flare in fog. They prepped like soldiers, Deck honing anecdotes to razor edges. Hunter scripting zingers that blended legalese with heart. But doubt gnawed, Deck's nightmares resurfaced. Waking slick with sweat. Convinced shadows in the alley were Kowalski's ghosts. Hunter soothed with touches and truths. But cracks spiderwebbed, a cancelled dinner when Hunter pulled an all-night. Deck's bar shift running late with tips from leering patrons that twisted his gut. Climax brewed in autumn's chill. Leaves carpeting Astoria sidewalks like confetti from a funeral march. Kowalski's verdict dropped, guilty on all counts. 20 years in the slam, and the department retaliated. Anonymous leaks hitting Hunter's desk, doctored psych evals labeling him unfit, whispers of disbarment. Deck found him in chambers. Head in hands. Robe discarded like shed skin. They're coming for you. Deck's voice was thunder. Protective fury barely leashed. Hunter looked up. Eyes red-rimmed but resolute. Let him. I've got nothing left to lose but you. Deck note. Hands cupping Hunter's face, mirroring their first stolen touch. Then we run. Not hide, fight from the front lines. That interview? Tomorrow. And after. He paused, pulling a velvet box from his pocket. Cheap drugstore ring glinting. Marry me. Hunter. Not for show, for us. In this fucked up country, let's make it official. Tears spilled. Hunter's laugh bubbling through. You idiot. But only if you promise no more razors. Their kiss sealed it. Fierce and future-bound. As sirens wailed distant harmony. The interview aired on a crisp November morning. Sunlight slanting through Hunter's living room blinds like hesitant spotlights. CNN studio downtown felt like a fishbowl, cameras humming judgment. Anchor's smile polished to enamel. Hunter and Deck sat side by side on the curved couch. Hands brushing covertly. A lifeline in the glare. Gentlemen, the host intoned. All honeyed gravitas. From street clash to courtroom romance, tell us. How does love rewrite the law? Deck leaned in first. Voice steady as a siren's call. It doesn't rewrite it, ma'am. It exposes the fine print, the hate clauses buried in protect and serve. He spun the tale raw, the rallies roar. The clippers buzz. The awakening in Hunter's eyes. No varnish. Just vein-deep truth, his father's slurs echoing in batons swung. The locker room jokes that masked his own mirrored fears. The gallery at home erupted in living rooms nationwide. Twitter, X. Whatever, ignited with cop and judge. Hashtags blooming like wildflowers in cracked asphalt. Hunter followed. Gavel sharp, justice isn't blind, it's burdened. By biases we all carry. Declan and I? We're proof you can unlearn them, together. He spoke of the robe's weight. Heavier than any chain, of clients lost to systems that chewed and spat. Their chemistry crackled on screen, glances loaded. Touches accidental on purpose, turning pundit skepticism to reluctant awe. This isn't a scandal, one op-ed crowed post-air. It's a reckoning. Fallout cascaded, offers flooded Deck's inbox. Book deals from indie presses hungry for insider grit. TED Talks on toxic masculinity. Even a Netflix docuseries pitch that made him snort over Thai takeout. Me. On the small screen? Next they'll want me dancing with the stars. Hunter grinned. Feet tangled under the table. You'd slay. In uniform or out. But romance's glow cast long shadows. Deck's manuscript? Blue shadows, hit shelves by spring, hardcover spine cracking under eager hands. Climbing charts with the velocity of a perp in pursuit. Signings drew crowds, grizzled vets nodding grim assent. Queer kids clutching copies like talismans. Yet autographs came with barbs, protesters outside Barnes and Noble. Signs scrawling, traitor to the badge, eggs splattering pavement like accusations. Hunter's ascent mirrored, elevation to appellate court. Robe trading borough benches for federal gravitas. Ceremonies in gilded halls. Oaths sworn under crystal chandeliers, but homecoming soured. Late nights bled into dawns. Hunter's briefcase bulged with briefs. Deck's laptop glowed with revisions for the paperback. Missed you at the reading, Deck would mutter, masking hurt with humor. Crowd asked for the judge. I said he's too busy sentencing my heart to life. Guilt gnawed Hunter. A quiet thief. One evening. Post-argument over forgotten anniversaries. Their first kiss. Etched in rain and rage, he found Deck on the fire escape. Notebook open to a blank page. Cigarette smoldering forgotten. Can't write, Deck admitted. Smoke curling like confessions. Words feel. Well, after everything. Hunter slid beside him. Thigh to thigh. City lights winking below like conspirators. Then don't. Just be. He took the pen. Scribbling nonsense, a doodle of a gavel entwined with handcuffs. Laughter bubbled, easing knots, leading to slow unspooling on the narrow iron, Deck's head in Hunter's lap. Fingers carting through waves. Stories traded like currency. Remember the bodega falafel? Best damn rap. Even with blood in my beard. Deck's chuckle rumbled. I'd shave 1,000 heads for one night like that again. Tenderness bloomed. Hands wandering lazy maps, collarbones to hips. Breaths sinking in the chill. Making love on fire escapes wasn't practical. But neither was them. It was poetry in motion. Stars wheeling overhead as they claimed the night. Yet conflict coiled tighter. A spring wound by ambition's hand. Deck's tour clashed with Hunter's docket, Philly for a panel. DC for appeals, phones their frail bridge. Texts turned terse, safe flight. Love. Miss you. Call soon. Distance bred doubt, a tabloid snap of Deck at a bar. Arms slung casual over a fan's shoulder. Hit Hunter's feed mid-recess. Who's the arm candy? The headline leered. Jealousy flared. Irrational as summer storms. Hunter confronted over FaceTime. Screen grainy with static. It's nothing, guy bought the book. Wanted a pic. Deck's exasperation crackled. You think I'd throw us away for a stranger? After Kowalski? After you? I don't know. Hunter's voice shattered. Robe sleeves twisted in fists. You're out there? Free. While I'm chained to this bench. What if the shine wears off? What if I'm just the mistake that made your memoir? Deck's face softened. Pixels blurring tears. You're the plot twist? Hunter. The hero. Without you. It's all prologue. He booked the red-eye. Arriving at dawn with airport coffee and apologies whispered against collarbones. Reconciliation was fire, urgent, consuming, walls shaking as they reclaimed each other, bruises blooming like love bites from the gods. Summer solstice brought the storm's eye, their wedding, small and defiant, on a rooftop in Bushwick. No tuxes, just jeans faded soft, shirts rolled to elbows, rings tungsten simple as vows. Officiant a queer rabbi with a wit sharper than scripture, guests a mosaic, Hunter's law profs mingling wary with Deck's old beat partners, reformed or repentant. Vows exchanged under string lights, I promise to judge you fairly, even when you leave dishes in the sink. And I, to protect your heart. Badge or no. Honeymoon was a road trip, Route 66 echoes. But queer-coded, diners with rainbow flags, motels with welcome all signs. They chased sunsets in the Mustang Deck's publisher loaned. Windows down, Springsteen blasting Thunder Road as anthems. Stops at landmarks twisted personal, the Stonewall Shadow in NYC Redux. But now hand in hand, a Nevada ghost town where Deck proposed rewriting endings. No more buzz cuts. Just us. Growing wild. Intimacy deepened in those miles, conversations unfurling like highways, fears voiced in rest stops. Deck admitted the book's success terrified him. What if they see through? The cop who cracked skulls. Now preaching peace. Hunter squeezed his thigh. Eyes on the horizon. They see growth. That's the human part, the mess that makes us real. Back in New York, autumn leaves turned gold as accolades piled, Deck's sequel greenlit. Hunter's op-eds syndicated in the Times. But humanity's underbelly stirred, a letter arrived. Postmarked Queens, envelope thick with malice. Inside, clippings of their story, defaced with slurs. A note scrawled, freaks like you ruined him. Payback's coming. Fulfilled. Crumpling it. Kolsky's crew. Leftover venom. Hunter's instinct was law, FBI traces, restraining orders, but Deck's was street. We face it. Together. No hiding. The threat crested at Deck's launch party. A loft in Soho buzzing with literati and activists. Toast rang. Champagne fizzing like fireworks. When the door splintered, 3 shadows in hoodies. Bats swinging like pendulums of hate. Chaos erupted, screams. Shattering glass. Hunter shoving Deck behind a bar as fists flew. Deck lunged anyway. Ex-cop reflexes channeling blows. Crack of wood on shoulder. Blood slicking floors. Hunter grabbed a mic stand. Swinging wild. Enough. Voice booming authority. The ringleader faltered. Mask slipping to reveal a face from Deck's past. A Kolsky lackey. Eyes wild with fanaticism. Sirens converged. Blues this time allies. Hauling the trio in zip ties poetic justice. In the ER's sterile hum. Stitches fresh. Deck gripped Hunter's hand. Almost lost you. Hunter kissed his knuckles. Bruised and bandaged. Never. We're bulletproof now. Healing was a mosaic. Pieced slow under winter's pall. The attack made front pages. Assault on authors. Hate targets gay couple. Sparking vigils that lit Manhattan like Diwali. Candles flickering solidarity. Deck's book rocketed to bestseller purgatory. Royalties funding a foundation. Shadows to light. Scholarships for queer youth in blue families. Counseling for cops questioning closets. Hunter chaired the board. Robe traded for suits that fit looser now. shoulders squared with purpose beyond precedent. Their home evolved too, a brownstone in Crown Heights, purchased with combined advances, walls echoing laughter over lasagna burned black. Mornings ritualized, deck at the stove, flipping eggs with theatrical flair. Hunter shuffling in robe-clad, hair tousled from dreams untroubled. Your honor requires sustenance, Deck would quip, plating with flourish. Kisses over coffee, lazy and lingered, set the day's tempo, humanity in the humdrum. Yet scars itched, reminders etched deep. Deck's therapy sessions, mandatory post-attack, unraveled threads, the shave as metaphor, stripping not just Hunter but his own illusions of control. I thought power was the badge, he confessed one night, curled on the couch, Hunter's head pillowed on his chest. Turns out, it's vulnerability. Letting you see the cracks. Hunter traced Deck's tattoos, NYPD ink faded beside a new one, matching thorns around their rings. Cracks let the light in. That's us, fissured, but fierce. He shared his own ghosts, the foster homes that taught him love's fragility, the law degree clawed from night classes and doubt. You didn't break me that night. You began me. Romance reignited in embers banked low. Fan to flame. Anniversaries marked not dates but milestones, the shaversary. Toasted with single malt and stories retold tender, court wins celebrated with rooftop picnics. City sprawl their kingdom. Intimacy shifted, less frenzy, more finesse, Deck's hands learning Hunter's rhythms like Braille. Hunter's mouth mapping Deck's sighs as symphonies. Love you, Deck murmured post-climax. Please. As if incantation against chaos. Conflict resurfaced subtle. A tide's undertow. Deck's fame drew suitors, agents pitching biopics, podcasters probing pain for clicks. They want the tragedy, not the triumph, he griped after a call, pacing the Persian rug. Hunter, buried in briefs for a landmark case, challenging stop-and-frisk's queer bias, snapped from fatigue. Then say no. Boundaries? Deck, we're partners. Not props. Hurt flared reciprocal, easy for you, ivory tower. Lifetime appointment. I'm out here hustling, proving I'm more than the villain in your origin story. Words hung venomous. Silence a chasm. They slept backs turned. Sheets a Berlin Wall. Dawn brought détente, Deck's olive branch. Breakfast in bed with croissants flaked gold. Note tucked, sorry. You're my whole plot. Hunter's reply. Scrawled on napkin, and you're the twist I never saw coming. Forgive. Laughter bridged the gap. Apologies sealed skin to skin. Forgiveness a friction that forged stronger. Spring heralded rebirth, Hunter's ruling dropped. Dismantling discriminatory patrols. Headlines hailing, Hayes Hammer of Hope. Deck's foundation expanded. Chapters in LA. And Chicago. Testimonials from cops coming out. Riley showed me it's possible. Their public life intertwined, panels at Pride. Keynotes at ACLU galas, hands clasped unapologetic. Rings catching light like beacons. But the arc bent toward quiet victories. One June evening. Postmarch. They wandered Central Park, meadows blooming riotous. Frisbees sailing like dreams. Deck paused by the Bethesda fountain, pulling Hunter close. Remember Brooklyn? Rain and rage. Hunter nodded. Wind tousling their matched buzz, grown now to crowns of curls. Led here. To this. Deck knelt, not proposal redux. but reverence, lips to Hunter's palm. Marry me again? Every year. Renew. Because life's not one verdict, it's daily deliberations. Tears prick. Hunter hauling him up into embrace. Every damn day. Years unfurled like pages turned. Dex trilogy complete. Hunter ascending to circuit chief. Their brownstone echoing with adopted laughter. A boy from the Foster trenches, named Riley Hayes, teaching them chaos anew. Betrayals faded to footnotes, conflicts to character, proof that love, in America's vast, veined heart, thrives not despite the breaks, but through them. In the end, humanity's grace lay in persistence. Two men, once razor-parted, now woven whole. On a street much like the first, neon flickering, rain a soft descant, they walked arm in arm. About the city, flawed witness, hummed approval. Justice, after all, wore many faces, some shaved clean, others crowned in quiet defiance.